That moment no one came. Or worse, when the ones who should have loved you became the threat. That's the moment the soldier child was born. And they've never stopped standing guard. Somewhere in your chest, beneath the calm tone you've mastered, beneath the smile you give without meaning it, beneath the way you say, "I'm okay," just a little too quickly, there's a soldier still bracing for impact. Not because you're in danger, but because you've never known peace long enough to trust it. Not because someone's hurting you now, but because the quiet reminds you of the seconds before the scream. That's the terrifying truth most people never name. When peace has been a stranger your whole life, chaos feels like home. There are no visible scars, no battlefield, but your body remembers. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." But this is not fate. This is a nervous system conditioned by war, still searching for landmines long after the battle ended. So now, every silence feels threatening. Every kind word feels manipulative. Every still moment triggers the part of you that whispers, "This is just the calm before it all falls apart again, isn't it?" If you've ever ruined something good without knowing why, if you've ever pulled away when someone loved you softly, if you've ever felt your body tighten in a moment meant to feel safe, then this video is your mirror. And if you stay with me, truly stay, you'll understand why your nervous system still doesn't believe it's safe, why your peace feels like punishment, and how to finally return from the war you didn't choose, but survived anyway. Because by the end, you won't just understand your triggers, you'll learn how to retrain your body to stop mistaking love for danger. You'll learn how to unarm the child soldier living in your chest, and you'll begin to feel something you may not have known you needed: belonging in a world without battle. So take a breath, right now. Inhale, deep, honest. Exhale like it's the first breath you're allowed to take without armor. And if something in you already feels seen, even in these first minutes, don't wait. Subscribe, not as a favor, but as a commitment to the part of you that's still learning how to stay. This voice is here to walk you home. Coming next, the soldier child. Why you keep bracing for a war that's already over. But what we uncover there may make you question whether you ever truly left the battlefield at all. There's a version of you, younger, smaller, alert like prey, that never got to be a child. Because instead of being held, you were trained. Trained to listen for footsteps, not lullabies. Trained to decode facial expressions like a language of survival. Trained to disappear at the exact moment your presence became dangerous. And you learned how to smile when your heart was breaking. How to laugh when the room was cold. How to say, "I'm okay," even when you were bleeding invisible. This is the soldier child, and they are still in you, wearing your skin, sitting beside you in relationships, flaring up when love gets too quiet, because their job wasn't to feel safe. Their job was to keep you alive, and they were excellent at it. Carl Jung once warned us, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent." But what happens when a child becomes the emotional adult in the room? When your role isn't just survival, but protection, regulation, silence. What happens is this: you grow up believing you're strong, but really, you're just numb. You grow up believing you're independent, but really, you're just untrusting. You grow up believing you don't need anything, but really, you've just forgotten how to ask. Let's do something right now. Not for content, not for performance, for you. Close your eyes, just for 10 seconds. Picture the moment you learned you had to be strong. That moment no one came. Or worse, when the ones who should have loved you became the threat. That's the moment the soldier child was born. And they've never stopped standing guard. Now open your eyes. Can you feel how tired they are? Because when someone finally does love you, when peace finally knocks, that child doesn't celebrate. They brace, they doubt, they sabotage. Because if everything falls apart again, at least they saw it coming. But what if this time, it's different? What if the war ended years ago, but your nervous system didn't get the memo? What if your soldier child has been keeping you safe from a danger that doesn't exist anymore? And what if, just maybe, it's time to bring them home? But before you can do that, you need to meet the part of you that confuses love with fear. Because we are about to enter the heart of your confusion, the hyper-vigilant lover, the one who wants love more than anything, but pushes it away the moment it feels real. You crave love like oxygen, but when someone gives it to you, fully, gently, honestly, you stop breathing. You wait for the shift, the betrayal, the silence that used to follow kindness like thunder after lightning. You scan their tone. You decode their text messages like they're written in ancient runes. You study their affection like it's a trap, because to you, it might be. This is the heartbreak of the hypervigilant lover. You didn't become suspicious because you're bitter. You became suspicious because you're trained. Trained to equate inconsistency with passion. Trained to think love means anxiety. Trained to only feel alive when someone else's love feels slightly out of reach. Because deep down, your body has one rule. If it feels calm, it's probably not real. But that's not your truth. That's your trauma, dressing itself in logic. Carl Jung once said, "Nothing has a stronger influence psychologically on their environment, and especially on their children, than the unlived life of the parent." So if you grew up watching love look like pain, fear, or silence, that's what you now search for unconsciously in every relationship. And here's the terrifying paradox. When someone finally gives you safety, you don't relax, you panic. Because when the love isn't chaotic, your trauma doesn't know where to sit. So it creates chaos, picks fights, withdraws, finds something wrong. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system doesn't yet believe it's allowed to exhale. Let's try something radical. Close your eyes and call to mind the last person who truly loved you. Not the one who kept you hooked by hurting you, but the one who stayed soft when you pushed them away. Remember what you did. Remember how uncomfortable it felt to be loved without strings. And now say to yourself silently, peace is not manipulation. Stillness is not a trick. I am allowed to be held without debt. That's the beginning of unlearning. Not through thought, but through body. Because the hypervigilant lover isn't wrong. They're just afraid. Afraid that love without fear won't last. Afraid that softness is a setup. Afraid that the moment they feel safe, they'll be left. But you're not powerless anymore. You are not the child guessing someone's mood. You are not the partner begging for clarity. You are not the ghost clinging to crumbs. You're the one learning how to stay when it's safe. The one slowly reprogramming your nervous system to recognize peace as the truth, not the threat. And maybe that's the most courageous thing you've ever done. If this part cracked something in you wide open, don't scroll away from that feeling. Sit in it, then subscribe. Because this is how we rewrite your story. Together. Breath by breath. Video by video. Layer by layer. But now, we face the final hidden enemy, the one that lives not in your history, but in your habits, the saboteur of stillness. You've worked so hard to get here, to build peace, to open your heart, to finally live in something that doesn't mimic the chaos of your past. And then, you feel it, that old twitch in your gut, that low, humming panic. So you stir the pot, you say something sharp, you pull away when someone reaches in, you disappear, you ghost, you quit. You light a fire you didn't need, just to feel the heat again. This is the saboteur of stillness, the part of you that doesn't believe you're allowed to feel good for long. Because stillness, for someone raised in chaos, is not relaxing. It's unnerving. You learned that calmness was the moment before the explosion. You learned that safety was temporary. So now, even when you're not in danger, you create it. Not because you like it, but because it's what you know. Carl Jung reminded us, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And stillness is where your soul lives, so you sabotage it. Not to ruin your life, but to avoid meeting the self that's been waiting in the silence. But hear this, sabotage isn't rebellion. It's grief in disguise. Grief that says, this feels too good. I don't know how to hold it, so I'd rather lose it on my own terms. Because if you lose something before it can leave you, you don't have to be abandoned. You can be in control. That is the great lie of the nervous system shaped by trauma. Control feels safer than peace, but you're not that person anymore. Let's do something daring. Pause. Place your hand on your chest, right over the part that aches right now, and ask, what am I afraid will happen if I let this stay good? Let the answer rise. Don't push it away, because that's where the saboteur lives. They don't need punishment. They need reparenting. They need you to say, we are safe now. We don't have to burn down the home we just built. This is your emotional peak. This is the place where most people click away, scroll past, give up. Don't. Stay. This is where your freedom begins. Not in the healing you post about, but in the good thing you don't destroy. And if this moment hit you like a forgotten truth, subscribe. Because that aching part of you, it deserves more than content. It deserves a return. And now, the final descent into healing begins. The return from the war. There's a moment most people never reach. Not because they can't, but because they're terrified of what comes after the pain ends. It's the moment when the war is finally over, but you still hear gunfire in your sleep. Still duck when nothing's falling. Still prepare to be left, even when no one's leaving. Because peace doesn't feel like peace at first. It feels like nothing. And nothing feels like danger when your nervous system was wired in war. But this is the truth we've been crawling toward through every broken room of you. The trauma wasn't your fault, but the healing is your responsibility now. Carl Jung told us, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. But what he didn't say is this, there is no lasting peace without practice. So now, we rebuild, not in theory, not in wishful thinking, but in ritual. First, begin your mornings in sacred silence, even if it feels hollow, even if your skin itches with panic. 5 minutes. No stimulation. No performing. Just being. You are teaching your body that stillness isn't punishment. It's your new home. Second, speak to the soldier child aloud. Say this, You kept me alive. You did not fail. But I am the adult now. You can rest. Let the words settle into your bones. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Third, let your hypervigilance be a signal, not a sentence. When you feel the need to run, ruin, or rage, pause. Put your hand on your chest. Ask, what am I afraid I'll lose if I let this be good? Then stay. Fourth, stop waiting for chaos to make you feel alive. Choose rituals instead. Soft music, warm baths, reading aloud. Make peace feel rich, familiar, emotional. Let safety be sensual, not sterile. Fifth, revisit the moments that shaped you and whisper into them. I lived, and I'm not going back. Forgive the past without denying it. Honor the wound, but build from the scar. This is not a formula. This is not a checklist. This is a return to the self that existed before the war. The self that knows how to rest without guilt. The self that lets love stay. The self that finally believes they don't have to earn peace by first surviving pain. One day, you'll sit in a quiet room, no chaos, no adrenaline, no one watching, and you'll realize your heart isn't racing anymore. And you'll cry. Not because you're scared, but because you made it. And on that day, this video will echo in your chest, like a voice that kept you breathing when the world felt sharp. So if this series met you where no one else has, if it felt like the permission letter you never received, then subscribe. Not for me, for the version of you who finally feels ready to live beyond survival. This is not the end. This is your return. And for the rest of your life, when someone asks why you flinched at peace, you'll say, because I was raised in a war, but I chose to come home anyway.